was your sort of motivation? Was it to learn, like I expect, or was it maybe to see that maybe down the road this is something I can work at, combine my hobby and my interest in and knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell right now, but I, when I started like developing this tool for Trackmania for this scripting and stuff, I always wanted to see people like there was always this like when you have records on a track, right? And you have a world record, and people were saying like somebody uploaded a new exciting world record, and all of them are exciting. I'm not trying to deny that, but they were basically saying, oh, this is maxed, there is no way you go faster, and I was like, well, not really. I mean, you probably can go faster because the game is so complex that you basically can optimize and go faster and faster and faster. And I was really having this dream of where people would kind of explore how fast you can go in the game and just not not have a human factor basically as you're driving, but exploring the game, just how many games today are explored right through tools and stuff, and these then you discover new strategies and stuff, and that also allows for real players to set new world records based on those strategies. So yeah, that was kind of on the back of my mind, kind of maybe there will be something in the future where this will happen, but no, that was kind of a wet dream,
I mean, you're still young. I'm the one who's getting old. I'm 27. I'm the late part of my 20s. You are in the early part of your 20s. So the future is bright for you, and the future is, or what to say, the future is over for me, or the past is behind me. I don't know. But anyway, are you surprised basically about tool-assisted speedruns not being part of Trackmania at an earlier stage? Because you wanted to see what was the sort of maximum limit, and that is essentially what all the hunters want to achieve, to see what is possible on this track. And like you said, you have heard it so many times that now this record is maxed, this track it's not even worth playing it, and then 1 month later new world record, yeah, now it's finally maxed, and then 2 months later even a new world record. So are you surprised that nobody else wanted to create a tool that you can actually see, at least to a further extent, what is possible?
It's definitely weird that because for other games, these tool-assisted speedruns usually, they are usually done on very old games like Super Mario 64 or Doom or anything like that. And basically there it's very easy to do this stuff. It's not that hard. But of course you still have to have those tools, but there's generally less barrier to entry. And Trackmania was kind of, well, I'm not sure if I'm pretty sure there were people that tried to do this stuff. I mean, Speedy and Angeside, which are two players that made tool-assisted speedruns for Trackmania, even before me, in fact, were there and they were doing this stuff. But Trackmania is a PC game, and you basically have to kind of reverse engineer it and do like complex stuff to make it work, right? So maybe there was just nobody that put the effort into like making a proper tool for that. But Trackmania always seemed for me like the perfect game to basically TAS. And again, I mean, I know many people are against that. I mean, maybe not now. I mean, there's a lot less of those people, but there was kind of this, kind of danger of, if we allow TASs, well, then basically, what about the real world records, right? How do we prevent people from, submitting them as a real run? And this was basically the most blocking issue for TASs to even become a thing. And for a while, I had to basically not release the tool anywhere. People asked, of course, but I kind of really was responsible for just, and other people as well, were responsible just for the integrity of leaderboards, right? To not ruin such a rich history of records that real players have done, basically. So in this case, that was that, and yeah, it's again, it's weird that it became a thing now, but what do you know? Like, I'm pretty sure there were some people that were trying, but
because for me, it's obviously sort of impossible to do it with at least the knowledge I have now, because I cannot code, I cannot do anything. I'm happy essentially if I can download 2 replays and put them up against each other to compare it. But for yourself, would you say that it's hard to create a tool like that, or is it easy, just time consuming? How would you describe making that tool from the point of view that you have and probably other people with the knowledge you have?
Once you kind of get the ball rolling, sketch out things and make, because it wasn't like that tool was basically like perfect from the start, right? It basically took a lot of small steps to get there, but as it always is with software and a lot of other things. But it's kind of hard to get into that at the beginning, because there's a lot of just knowledge that you need to know. But given enough time, you can achieve that. If you are having the willpower to do that, then yes. Nowadays, it's not really even hard for me. It just time consuming. It consumes a lot of time, just testing stuff and developing new features. It's just, I wish I had more time, but I don't, and that's just how things are.
Yeah, having more time would certainly be good for many people, including myself. But you mentioned a point that you don't want to ruin the integrity of the records by maybe making this public. But is there a way for the Donadigo's, let's say, old sort of system to detect if I'm to TAS a run rather than play it legit?
This kind of ties back into the cheating investigation we did, but Donadigo always, at least to my kind of understanding or just information, they always had systems for detecting cheaters, which is not a lot of people that know this, but they always had. They were just not, some of them were just not functional. That's it. They stored basically everything, but they didn't do anything with that. And I think it's possible, but it's always, with cheating, with this stuff, it's always like the cheaters, right? will always be on the top of the game. Basically, as long as you're in your home, you own your computer, right? You can do anything, and you can cheat if you want. It just, if a developer of the game, if Nadio has some more advanced systems, then it's become harder to cheat, being undetected. But you can always kind of, just work around this stuff, basically. And it's never been, no game has really an anti-cheat system that is just, like, it detects everything. There is no such a thing, and there won't be for I don't know how much, or if it's even possible. But yeah, basically that's the problem, So yeah, it's possible for most cases. It's entirely possible to detect cases like this. But Nadio just. I don't know what happens in Nadio. Don't ask me.
I'll try to ask them, but it's over a year since I did an interview with Hiller, so maybe someone else has to step up and do an interview.
I don't know. Ask them.
Yeah. But essentially, it comes back to I follow real sport more closely than I follow esport. Essentially, the only esport I follow is Trackmania, and the saying there is that cheaters will always be one step ahead of the cheating detection, like doping. But at some point, they will be caught up. That's why they store now the blood samples for, I don't know, 8 years, 10 years, because if they find new methods to detect some sort of wrongdoings in their blood, then they can do it in the future and see, okay, this guy cheated in the Olympics in Tokyo, but we didn't know until 10 years later. So essentially, I think that is maybe also the case in esports, that at some point you will try to detect something that you didn't think was possible, let's say now.
Yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
Yeah.
As you said, there is, as long as, basically preventing cheating is a cat and mouse game. And if you want to prevent cheating for 100%, then make the player come to your place and play on a specially prepared PC. And even then people cheat, so so yeah, it's very hard to prevent everyone from cheating ever, and you have to just accept that. It's not like you can just prevent everyone from doing that.
Everybody has to go to Hillis' house to actually set the new world record. So
Yeah.
maybe then I would be interviewed or having a chance to interview him again, but let's see. But you brought up something that is, I think, also still a case in the game, that once you create something that at least most people, at least now, see as a positive, that being the tool-assisted speedrun, that you have some people that are skeptical. I see Kappa, world champion for 2018, saying that you somehow take away the charm of knowing what is possible, because you want to, I guess he wants to see what a human can do on a track, but now that you know that what is machinely possible, what is perfectly input possible, then it takes away if a human tries to do something. He brought up the record on Hockalicious, the first to do like 0.6x. Now it's not as special in his eyes, but the runner-up at 4 World Championships, Twin, said that, come on, we have always known that the humans is not the limit. We have always knew that there is a stage above. But the question I want to ask is, have you faced any backlash? Have you faced anything negative from trying to create something that you believe is solely great for Trackmania?
Let me see. I mean, the thing is, I never really experienced backlash, because I never really was known in the community, so who was there really to judge me for doing stuff? But of course there are always some people who are skeptical about your work, and that's completely fine. I mean, nothing is perfect, really. But I always had this kind of goal, and I always wanted for the game, good for the game, right? I never wanted to make a cheating tool for people to exploit and break leaderboards. And I think that's kind of what people saw at that time. That's, you know, and this was also the case with other people. They were kind of responsible for this stuff, and they played their part pretty well. I don't think I ever saw a backlash from this. And maybe, you know, I don't know what happens in the future, right? Of course, we are in the present, and I may face backlashes, but I don't know.
But the overall
let's
thing
hope.
is that it's positive, right? So people have you been so unknown that people have not even said, "Oh, this is cool that you created a Tool-Assisted Speedrun."
No, you know, in the middle of 2020, I started uploading some videos about this to YouTube, and you know, the response was pretty positive overall, especially on that Trackmania TAS What Now video that I made. Of course, there were some negative, like of course, questions about how exactly what I want to do with this tool and everything. But it was mostly positive, and I think in general, Trackmania community is very welcoming and positive in most things. So there was nothing really to fear for me.
But now that you see what I think the latest video from Virtual was essentially a video about what is possible with Tool-Assisted Speedrun in the Trackmania Nations Forever campaign. Are you surprised to see what is possible in this game now that you see that it's no longer maybe humans who have to test the limits, or they can test it, but they cannot maybe know if it's possible. Now you can actually test your RD, see if it's possible with the perfect inputs. Are you surprised seeing stuff like this, or did you expect it? Did you anticipate it?
You know, I always kind of knew that Trackmania is a much crazier game when you actually can like script absolutely everything. But seeing this stuff for real is the real joy, and some strats that people have just made is just crazy and awesome to see. I didn't know. I never really invented any kind of new idea, if you say so. But I knew that it can be a lot crazier than the real world records. So again, really awesome to see all the videos and experiments people do with the tool, and just generally, yeah.
But what do you think the future for Tool-Assisted Speedrun? Is it like the thing we have made? Is it perfect? Is it something can be better, or is it like is Tool-Assisted Speedrun patches or things, are they once it's made? Is it perfect, or can it be improved? And if so, how can you improve something that is basically inputs?
You know, I think personally that all of the kind of strats we see is pretty good, but there is much more possible in the game still. The thing is, like, what we do right now in this present is that we optimize strategies, and strategies are, I mean, they're the core thing in a run. But there's also this kind of optimization where you optimize kind of the lines, like to the pixels or whatever, and that still can like yield a lot of improvement everywhere. Basically, I mean, take for example AO1, right?
Mm.
Uh, at the beginning, the people discovered that you can do a second speed slide in the first turn, and that was kind of the new strategy. But besides that, you can still optimize a lot of stuff in AO1, even if it seems like you cannot do anymore. That's simply because the game is so complex and there's so many possibilities you can just test, and that I think the current record is like 2372 or something like that.
Mm.
You can still go a lot lower.
Mm.
It just we don't see that. It's the same thing with, you know, we had this. I did one run on AO1 that was 2380, and that was without that new strategy. And we basically said, you know, you can maybe go like 2378, but not anymore, you know. And that's basically the Trackmania is just, you cannot go further until you can. It's what I mean, you know?
That's what the current quote that Virtual used in the video. Once you reach a limit, you just push it further or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.